Two men who know the angles, uncover and untangle all the questions and the webs left out to tangle. Be in 1962, last Wednesday's afternoon, they'll bend your ears with reckless self-abandon. The amazing spider talk, the amazing spider talk. Come swing through the air, sit back and prepare for the amazing spider talk.
Hello, I'm Dapper Dan Gavazin, and I'm the founder and editor of AmazingSpiderTalk.com. Thanks for joining me for a special bonus episode of the all-new Amazing Spider Talk. I hope you enjoy this podcast and that it provides you an intelligent look at Spider-Man's universe in a bit of a bigger picture. If you want to learn everything I know about Spidey, why not subscribe to my show, starting back with the first season? You can enjoy my show on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or your podcast player of choice. I'd love to have you along for our journey through Spidey's past, present, and future. Just head on over to AmazingSpiderTalk.com for all the details about where to subscribe. I wanted to pipe in quickly between episodes to tell you about an amazing event that I had the opportunity of participating in this weekend. If it's your first time listening to the podcast, this isn't what we normally do on the show, and I would encourage you to check out a different episode for our regular content. That said, I had the opportunity to attend the Gallery Nucleus here in Los Angeles this weekend for their pop-up show called What's Up, Danger, established as an artistic tribute to the film Spider-Man Into the SpiderVerse. As many who listen to the show know, I'm a fervent collector of Spider-Man art, whether it be the pages of the comic, commissioned artwork, or specialized handcrafted originals inspired by the character. The Nucleus Gallery, curated by Josh McKenzie, is one of the premier locations in Los Angeles for showcasing artwork inspired by pop culture, video games, comics, movies, and all the properties that I love. So when I saw that they were doing a show on one of my all-time favorite movies, Into the Spider-Verse, I knew I had to attend. To top it all off, they had several of the lead concept artists from the film who provided artwork for the amazing concept art book, there to sign books, sell prints of new work, and talk to me about concept art on the film. So what you'll be hearing on the show is some interviews with me and the curator of this event, Josh McKenzie, along with some of the artists who provided work for the show. And one last thing before we begin, as this is an audio podcast, I did my best to get the artist to describe the artwork so you could get an idea of what it looks like. But if you go to our YouTube channel, Amazing Spider Talk, I will have a video there with every single image that we talk about as we talk about them, including a preview of the event itself. So if you've never checked out our YouTube channel but want to see the artwork and gallery, why not head on over there and subscribe? Don't forget to subscribe. Alright, enough of me yammering. Let's get to my interview with Josh McKenzie, lead curator on the What's Up Danger exhibit at Gallery Nucleus.
Well, now let's meet one of our amazing spider friends, the kind of guy I go to other friends who recommend. Find out about the things they created. You'll love them so much that you wish you dated. But you're just friends, they're an amazing friend. A friend, a friend, a friend, they're an amazing friend.
Hey everybody, it's Dan again, and I am joining you from the Nucleus Gallery, and I am joined by my friend here, Josh McKenzie. Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what this event we're at is?
Yeah, I am the assistant curator at Gallery Nucleus. We, this summer, really wanted to celebrate a property that, the whole gallery was really excited about. And back in the wintertime, we all agreed on SpiderVerse. And so it was quite a labor of love. We got about 22 artists to participate, including the print runs. We got about 35 pieces. We just really wanted to make work that celebrates the energy and the movement of the film.
That's awesome. So, when a decision process is engaged upon in regards to what properties you show, how many slots per year do you have? And then, what goes into the consideration for what you ultimately end up choosing? What made Spider-Verse make the cut?
Well, we try to pick things that, have a lot of appeal, but also, aren't oversaturated in the market. We all were really big fans of the movie, and we thought, hey, there hasn't been a major exhibit of work celebrating this movie. It just won the Oscar several months back, so we wanted to kind of capitalize on that. which is really exciting for me because it was my first major project starting here, and our art gallery director Ben Zhu was basically just like, do you like SpiderVerse? And I'm like, I love SpiderVerse.
Can you tell me a little bit about the gallery itself?
Yep. Nucleus is this year celebrating its 15th anniversary. We have been in Alhambra the entire time. And, we're one of the only galleries in the United States that caters exclusively to art focusing around comics and animation and video games, that kind of thing. Really celebrating the illustration there as opposed to more of like a fine art kind of paradigm that other galleries focus on.
That's really awesome. And what fortuitous timing. SpiderVerse just came out on Netflix.
Absolutely not planned, but we'll take it.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting. So like, I'm here, I've seen the event, but maybe you can tell everybody at home who either is interested in coming or, is listening to this in Europe or something like that, who isn't able to attend the event. Like, describe the event itself. Tell me, how many, what kind of pieces you have and what the layout's like. I just want people to get an idea of it who are at home.
We got, a bunch of artists that work in animation, like storyboard artist Deshawn Mahone, who works on Craig of the Creek on Cartoon Network, and New York-based illustrator Kevin Hong to make pieces for us. So it really kind of spans the gap in terms of like illustration as career. We have freelance illustrators, we have video game art people, we have animation type people, and just anybody who captured that same sort of youthful energy I wanted for this show.
And how do you go about finding these people? I mean, obviously, like, people like Yuki seem obvious because they worked on the concept art for the movie, but do you just have some artists in mind, or you put out a call for these kind of things? Do you have a large catalog of artists that you go back to again?
We do have maybe about 100 people that we use quite frequently because they're very versatile in style. They have a good working relationship with the gallery, so we do have a stable of people. This being my first show, I approached Ben with a list of artists that I knew, some of them personally, some of them I knew online that I thought would be great, and he axed about half of them, just as over personal taste disagreements. But a lot of the people that I wanted in the show are people who we haven't worked with before because, as a gallery, not to be pretentious, but, this is a place where you can sort of show people off. You can, elevate people in a certain environment. And the people that I picked, maybe we haven't worked with them before, but they were people who definitely deserve to be on walls of galleries.
It's not pretentious at all. That's the entire point of a gallery, at least to my estimation, yeah. So, when you're putting together a show like this about the movie, obviously I think you want to kind of cover your bases in terms of who you're representing, and SpiderVerse is great in that regard. So there's a character for everybody. How did you approach giving assignments, for your various artists? I mean, obviously some, from walking on the show, some multiple are anime styled, so obviously that would be great, for some of the more anime stuff in, with Penny Parker and things like that. But I'm sure you must have kind of divvied up your attention in some way.
Honestly, for this show, I kind of just said, give me your best concepts. I want to see what you want to make first of all. And then I was sort of keeping an eye on if there was too much of one character, if it was going to be an all Miles show, I would have tried to see about, diversifying perhaps. If it was an all Peter B. Parker show, I would have wanted other characters to be shown. But for the most part, we got ensemble pieces, which, I want to see everybody. We got plenty of Miles, which of course I wanted. And I expected to get quite a bit more Gwen than we got. We have maybe 4 that are really strong, and it kind of just shook out well. We got got everybody, I think. We even got a Kingpin.
Yeah, it's really interesting who kind of shows up. There's a lot of Penny Parker, and I would say in a lot of Miles. But enough to kind of get everybody in there. One of the things I was most interested in on your show floor is that you have these kind of sculpted models of characters from the films. Can you speak a little bit about what those are?
Yeah, those are all resin sculptures by Andrea Blasic. So he received the sculpts from the one of the character visual development artists, Shi-Yun Kim. So he got the sketches of the characters and then built up these maquettes. So they could be seen in 3D space in a really convenient way for the visual development artists, for the character modelers. And so we were able to borrow those from Andrea for this show. And, they're so excellent to see in the round that we wanted to have them, that you could kind of stalk all the way around the pedestal and see all the angles. So we were super excited to have that get.
Well, in that way, you have a Green Goblin, I guess a ultimate Spider-Man, if you want to call him that, the pristine version of Chris Pine Spider-Man, and you have the spider-gwen. So in that way, you kind of have the ultimate spider-gwen there. Maybe not many pieces of her, but you've got her almost in the flesh. Do you have any favorite pieces in the gallery? I mean, I'm not going to say just one. If you have a couple, yeah.
I do have some favorites. I do want to go ahead and say that I was extremely thrilled with the caliber of work I got all across the board. I don't think there's like a bad piece in the show.
Well, maybe something that speaks to you personally then.
I'm especially a big fan of Kevin Hong's piece, Collider.
Can you describe it for people?
Yes, it's an image of all of the characters, including the Green Goblin, kind of going through like the space-time collider that's featured very prominently in the movie. And it's also got sort of like a comic book cover sort of feel with like the comic book code label and all of like it says SpiderVerse letters flying around, and it's super dynamic. It was just a delight to receive. Eva Eskalainen delivered a very good one. It was actually one of the Gwen-based ones, Gwen's World. Just all of them. Every time I got something in my inbox, it was like Christmas. So.
That must be thrilling for you. Yeah,
it's a perk of the job for sure.
What kind of in terms of your role as like a curator, like what kind of guidance can you provide these creators? Are you helping them tweak things, or it's kind of come as it is?
Yeah, for this one, I did want to kind of give them a bit of freedom because I really wanted people to draw, what attracted them about SpiderVerse. And for almost everybody, it was, what I hoped was like the movement and the action. For my role, it's mostly to pick the people that are going to make a cohesive batch where I can get like a good energy, basically a good mood throughout the gallery that reflects the property. And there's some light art direction. Often I'll get several concepts for a piece, and I'll pick the one that I think is the strongest compositionally or is the most unique because I want everyone to stand out as much as possible. But for the most part, I sort of just harangue them until I get the pieces to a deadline. So. And
what are you most excited about tonight on opening night?
I'm just excited for people to see the work. The physical pieces, the ones that are traditional media like paint and mixed media, look stunning. You can really see the dimensionality. Alex Ahad's is paper cut and it's layered. Like it's all the different figures are different pieces of paper layered over top of each other, and the dimensionality really pops in the gallery. Mars Hayward's is a series of name tags. That I'll say my name is Miles on them, and it forms the background of the piece, and you can really see like the layers of name tags applied. But even the ones that are completely digital, like the colors just really pop, and all of them turn the gallery into like this magenta cyan kind of dream world. It's great.
So what, getting personal, what about the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is so appealing to you personally? Did you connect with the movie in a particular way?
Yeah, I ended up seeing it 4 times in theaters.
A man of my own cloth.
Yeah.
I saw it, I think, did we decide today it was 4 or 5 times? 5 times in theaters, yeah.
It was, I'm not, generally speaking, a crazy big Spider-Man fan. It's always been something that's, fine, but I've never, given it too much personal attention. But when I saw Spider-Verse, like Miles is such a wonderful, dimensional character, and the world is so exciting, and the humor just kind of makes you care. And then when the stakes are set up, they're paid off, which is, of course, nuts and bolts filmmaking, but isn't as common as all that sometimes. And on top of all that, the visual style just makes you want to be there.
As someone who works in graphic arts, I have to imagine that it was thrilling to you. For me, it's like the purest distillation of pop art I've ever seen on screen.
Yeah, absolutely. It totally nails that vibe without being too, while remixing it and keeping it modern. And it was it's definitely the most exciting thing I saw in 2018. Probably one of the most exciting things I've seen in several years. And just everything just leapt off the screen. Every scene was exciting and different, or emotionally touching. And it was just, just a joy.
So if any of our listeners is a Los Angelino, what advice would you give them in terms of this gallery and this show? Tell us about what's being offered here, how they can, come down, and what the times are. Anything you want to plug about the show?
Absolutely. The show runs until July 13th. We are open Tuesday through Sunday from noon to 8. Gallery Nucleus, in addition to having the SpiderVerse show, we currently have what's called Dream Destinations, which is a similar group style show celebrating different locations in the Disney universe. Like there's a couple Agrabah pieces, there's an Elsa's Castle, and they're all done in like that very 50s, 60s travel poster kind of vibe. So you can see that on the walls. In addition, we have a shop that is very carefully curated by our store manager. It has all the coolest, most interesting comics and books you could find. I think there's really nowhere else in Los Angeles like it.
And you're selling, I don't know if you're going to keep doing this, but I'm seeing this stack right next to me, the hard-to-find first edition of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse concept art book.
Yes, I got one set aside for myself, and we have several put aside for pre-order, but we have some left. So if you're interested, definitely come on by.
They might be gone tonight, but it still might be worth it. These are hard to find books, so very exciting. How about yourself? If someone wanted to follow your work, where might they do that online?
Gosh, well, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at user Amans, AMONNS. I am a comic and storyboard artist, freelance when I'm not here. Yeah, I think I'm funny online, so.
That's good enough for me. We all think we're funny enough. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
My next guest is Deshawn Mahone, an artist who provided a piece for the exhibit and a huge Spider-Man fan. All right, I'm here at the Nucleus Gallery, and I'm joined by Deshawn Mahone. Welcome to the show, Deshawn.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to have you on because I just looked at your piece out in the gallery and I really liked it. You have a beautiful Miles piece out there. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you came to create this piece for the Nucleus Gallery?
I am an artist, a storyboard artist at Cartoon Network. I moved to LA maybe like 4 years ago to pursue a career in animation. And I've met my friend Josh here, who works at Gallery Nucleus, and he was telling me that they had a show coming up for, I was like, oh, I love that movie, so it would be really cool to do a piece for it. I wanted to challenge myself. I usually do like digital stuff, so this one was traditional, and I wanted to really, explore how it would look with markers. And just one of my favorite scenes of the movies was toward the end when Miles was up against the Kingpin. So I really wanted to do something like that with my piece.
So tell us a little bit more. So your piece is like Miles and the Kingpin fighting, and for much of that fight, Miles is kind of knocked down a little bit, but obviously he gets back up and does the shoulder touch, which is so great. But tell me about the process for making your piece. It's a marker piece.
Yeah, it's marker. I did a sketch first, and the biggest thing was just like the color choices. I was like, I really liked the colors they were using in the movie, and like trying to get those color choices with my markers was pretty challenging just because I didn't have that many. I was like, how can I get the ones that they had that captured that moment, with that same sort of feel. I usually don't use them often too, so it was so many things that I had to keep a track of. But one thing that I always thought was, I just really love Miles' look with the jacket, so I was like, I want to put the jacket on him. I was like, maybe it's not so true to the movie, but I really want to put the jacket on him. I
would kill to get a Miles action figure with a jacket and shoes.
It's so dope.
It is so dope.
Yeah.
I'm kind of upset it's not part of his official costume.
Yeah.
As cool as his official costume is, he needs those shoes and that jacket.
Yeah, for sure. Especially the shoes. I was like, I kind of wish that I put like the shoes a little more in the forefront, but I still made sure that they were pretty apparent. I was like, okay, I want to make sure the shoes pop out a little bit and put the red in. It was really good.
One thing I like about your piece is the kind of like use of the Ben-Day kind of dot style that you've got kind of like scattered around them, right? And that kind of the universe, creating that kind of like bubbling universe.
Yeah, it's actually funny because I did like a previous version of the piece before, that's not up there currently, and I didn't have the dots on that one. I did it like on a separate piece of paper, and once I did it that way, I was like, I like this. So I started to put it on, or I started to redo the sketch, and then I did it with the dots, and I was like, it really, really pops. I thought about putting, more dots that come outside of the piece, but I didn't want to like go overboard. I wanted to keep it simple. I usually like to have like simpler pieces, but the dots themselves, like I really liked that moment in the movie. Like they used it a lot, and I was like, I really want to capture that.
Right, exactly. Have you done like other shows like this? Is this something that like animators like yourself, do fairly often? Is engage themselves in gallery works, or is this kind of a very unique thing to this gallery?
This is the first one I feel like I've done like at a gallery outside of Cartoon Network. I did one at Cartoon Network for the show that I work on, but it was just like in-house, like just for the artists that work at the studio. So this is a new experience for me. Some animators and storyboard artists and such, they do work outside of their main gig. This is the first time I've jumped out and branched out outside of that, so it's pretty new and pretty exciting.
As an artist, what does the film, Into the Spider-Verse, like, mean to you? Like, I can only speak for myself that, like, I've never seen anything quite like it on the screen before in terms of, like, expressing pop art and the kind of art that, like, comic book fans love on the screen. Do you have a similar kind of, like, personal connection to the film in the artistic regard?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved Spider-Man as a character, and seeing, like, Miles, like, in the front was just really crazy to me. Like I'm a black man, so, like, seeing that, it was just, like, really cool to, just like, it's through his point of view, like, a lot of things that I could relate to, through the character. So it was very special. I was really happy to, be able to contribute in some sort of way, even if it wasn't, like, for the movie, but, this show is, like, just as cool. Like,
did like, beyond Miles himself, like, the appeal of Spider-Man has always been that, like, his mask has no, like, holes in it, right? Like, he can cover someone's face and it could literally be anybody under there. And Peter Parker has kind of always been the everyman, even though he is a specific person with very specific, personality traits. Is that what drew you to the character? Is that you could imagine yourself being in that costume?
oh, like the original Spider-Man?
Yeah.
It's just a really cool character. I think he's a really universal sort of, like, character that a lot of people can, grab onto, just because his struggle is very,
And I feel like I can relate to Peter B. Parker eating too much pizza.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
He made that burger in the movie look really good when he's eating it.
Oh, man. I would eat that cartoon burger every day
it was
of the
so
week.
good.
Oh, yeah. But he says it's better in his universe, so we can only imagine.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. What are you most excited about tonight in the celebration of the opening?
Really just excited to see people's reactions when they see the pieces. Like, because when I came in early, I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, like, seeing all the other pieces there's a couple that, I was eyeballing myself. Like maybe I'll purchase a few. Yeah,
Artists buying art from other artists. I love it.
I'd hang something up on my wall.
For sure. Are you going to be kind of, like, hunched over your piece like a gargoyle, watching how people react to it?
No, probably not. Like, I'm pretty, like, it'll be cool to see if people are looking at it, but I'm probably just gonna walk around a bit more before. Some
artists are really terrified of that. They just, once the piece is made, they want to leave it alone and
kind of, yeah. I felt like I had to face my fears to come and see it, like, see it out in the open. But outside of that, I think it's like, it's cool. I'm here. I saw it, and now I can move on.
Well, congratulations. If any of our listeners want to follow you at home, do you have an online presence?
Yeah, I have a Twitter at Deshawn Mahone. Not .com, but at Deshawn Mahone. DASHAWN MAHONE.
And I recommend everybody check it out. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure if it has any of your art on it, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it has art there that I share. My opinions. It's all that stuff.
Sounds good to me. All right, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Josh McKenzie for sitting down with me and for providing me and my team access to his wonderful exhibit. And thanks to you for tuning in. If you live in the Los Angeles area and want to attend the show, I cannot encourage you enough to visit the Gallery Nucleus and see this wonderful exhibit. Please check the show notes to this episode for all the details about how to attend, or go to gallerynucleus.com for a preview of the show and more information. In the meantime, later today, this very day, we'll have our review of Spider-Man Far From Home with a spoiler-free section first, a break, and then a section with spoilers, and then my conversation with Scott Corelli from the Spider-Man Minute podcast to talk all about the Easter eggs we found in the film. It'll be the perfect thing to listen to whether you've seen the film or not, or you just want to listen to something and you're never going to see the film. I don't know who that is, but maybe there's one or two of you out there. Also, for our Patreon subscribers, be sure to check out our Patreon page and your podcast feed this week, where we've already got special reviews of the entire Nick Spencer run up through issue 24. Remember, for just $3.99 a month, the price of a new comic, you'll get access to our exclusive new issue reviews, B-book reviews, and more. And for $10 or more a month, you'll get access to some awesome commissioned artwork. This time, and coming in about a month's time, from Barry Kitson, as he depicts the tremendously sad moment that Spider-Man learned of Gwen's demise. Plus, we've also got the amazing Spider Slack community for you to join. Just check this episode's description for a link to our Spider-Man talking community. We've even got a channel discussing all our thoughts on Spider-Man Far From Home. And if you want to keep up with me on the internet, why not go on Twitter and subscribe to my feed at @SupSpiderTalk. Drop me a line, tune in for my thoughts about Far From Home as we get a little bit further away from the movie's release date. And one last thing, as we're always sure to remember, and as Mark typically says, with great podcasts must also come the all-new Amazing Spider Talk.